Try it one more time, please. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you, thank you. It is nice to see the room filling back up.
Yes.
Nice. They must have heard Bob was back in control of the panel. Oh, it's the front. Oh, okay, it's not your. If you don't mind, everybody, please stand for the flag salute. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, let's see what's up next. Oh, it's for home loans. Come on up, Susie.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having us over again. Really appreciate to start off with. We want to say thank you so much for everybody that attended our Cinco de Mayo celebration. It was a lot of fun, great food, and I can't wait to get it all helped out for next year again. So for those of you that missed it, I know there's quite a few of you that were there. Make sure you tell them how fun it was. You know, had lots of fun. So thank you so much for the continued support.
You guys almost broke a record for tacos handed out in one day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had probably about 100 people.
Good.
So it was a really good turnout, So, so next year, be ready for that again. Today, just want to touch bases on a couple things. First and foremost, student loans. If you have any buyers out there that have been pre-qualified for a while now and they need to get their pre-quals updated, super important, especially with those student loans. There for a while, they were all in deferment. So keep in mind, they're not in deferment anymore. Those loans are becoming due and payable. And if they don't go on the site right away or talk to their representatives, what's happening is they're showing defaults. So that default is affecting the FICO scores. That default is affecting whether they can qualify for certain programs, like certain city programs. You can't have any defaults whatsoever at all. The other thing is that's happening is not what they're deciding to do is before they can go ahead and do it as under the scale as an income scale, they're not actually honoring that. So I've had a couple that they thought they were going to have $100 payment. They're actually having a $400 payment. That'll kill your deal. Okay. So super important, guys. If you have people that have been pre-qualified and they're now, you know, that they were waiting for the kids to get out of school to start shopping, make sure they get those pre-quals updated. As a loan officer, I'm following through with all of the ones that I have pending, you know, out there, just to make sure to remind them to get us their documentation, contact, you know, whoever their creditor is going to be and get those payments established so we can know what they're going to be. If they don't have a payment yet, then we, depending on what program they go with, we can either do show it at 0.5% or 1% of whatever the balance is, and that's what we show as a payment. But for those that are coming due, that's where the problem is. I just had one not long ago that we were showing a payment of $100 and some going on 0.5% based on their loans. And again, it came out to $400. By the time we pulled the credit again, it showed 400 and it showed them in default, even though it had been on deferment. But the thing is, they don't expect, like with anything, you know, when your due date is, you know, when your payment is. So just because they haven't sent you a letter doesn't mean it's not due. Okay, so super important. So that's one of the biggest keys that I wanted to, you know, bring out to you guys. The other thing is just communication, guys. Super important. I know every time I come up here, I keep on reminding you of the communication. If you know your buyers are changing jobs, if you know that something's happening, even if they stayed in the same job, that they went from the day shift to the night shift because they wanted to cut the hours so they can help out with the kids or whatever, that means their income changes. So make sure you let us know. Or sometimes truck drivers, you know, prime example, they go from an hourly, they want to have the opportunity to make more money, so they go to a per diem. That's considered self-employed. So now that changes the circumstances. So communication with your loan officers, communication with your buyers is key, okay? So don't forget to give us a call. Let's get those buyers pre-qualified, get those pre-calls updated. And remember, we don't have just your typical conventional VA, USDA, FHA loans. We also have non-traditional loans that we can help you with. So just give us a call. We're there to help you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, everybody, give it up for Mike.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you for coming today. I know $100 is at stake, so I expect this room to fill up as that grows every week, like the MLS, right? So, yeah, that's right. That's right. All right.
Says goodbye.
Yeah, just for fun, I took one day off and I had over 1,000 messages. That's me right there. So I don't know about you guys. So moral of the story is maybe don't take a day off, then you won't have messages. I actually don't check my email when I'm gone on vacation, and I typically don't check it on the weekends. But so it's kind of like one of those things that they do build up after a while. But one thing that I suggested, and maybe I think it was a couple meetings ago, is unsubscribe. There's this thing it's really microscopic at the bottom of these promotional emails. It says unsubscribe. But what happens is when you hit it, it unsubscribes you. Stop getting those emails over and over again. You just start getting organically your inbox down to real emails that you need to look at. All right, so ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do, and attitude determines how well you do it. And that's Mr. Lou Holtz, the most winning football coaches, legends, Notre Dame, many other schools. But absolutely, right? We all have ability. We're all capable of being good at something. We all have unique superpowers that that we could, if we harness, we could do great things. But the reality is, do we determine if there's enough motivation to actually do those things, and what are you motivated to do? And that goes back to, what is our big why? Why are we doing what we do in real estate? Why did you make the decision to get into real estate and take that risk? And is it enough to motivate you, which the root word is motive, or to create motion or action? Is that enough to get you to do those things that you must do in order to succeed in real estate or beyond? And really, attitude is what determines long-term success, right? Attitude is how you feel and how you react to adversity and things and challenges that will inevitably come along the way in this business. And generally every day there's some degree of challenge we have to face, and attitudes are really tested in real estate sales when the deal falls out of escrow, right? After we've spent 45 to 60 days trying to make this thing go, and particularly if somebody breaches. Isn't that frustrating? You're like 60 days in, and then the seller decides they don't want to sell, or the buyer just says, I'm out, I'm getting cold feet. And then we're like, holy cow, we just spent hours and hours and hours. I showed you 20 properties, and now you're going to do this to me. So what does your attitude dictate at that point? Do we get angry, bitter, want to get out of the business, shut down, hate the world? Or do we feel bad for a moment, determine, look, I'm not going to let this stop me. We'll keep going, keep moving forward, because there's still many people out there that need my help, and I need to keep working hard for those people. And attitude is really what fuels long-term success. So don't forget about it. All right, so let's talk about some news that hopefully you can use, but I think you will use some of this. There's a lot going on as usual. So number one, I'm not sure where my bullets are all up, so spoiler alert. They should have come up sequentially, but that's okay. Federal Reserve, they actually held the funds rate. So that was just last week. And we know the funds rate dictates the short-term lending, overnight lending between the banks, but it impacts things like mortgage loans, interest rates, and revolving credit, and other types of loans that the banks give consumers. But that's not the only thing. Obviously, the 10-year Treasury bond does as well. But so there was some thought about the Fed's. Okay, so everything going on, particularly since that mortgage interest rates have been nothing but going up recently. Because of the volatility in the stock market and this whole tariff thing, which I'll talk a little bit more about. I was hoping they'd do something. I was hoping, okay, I wasn't expecting a quarter point like they did, up through last year and up through the last decrease was December. They haven't done anything since, but maybe, somewhere in between, an eighth or whatever. And then they chose to do nothing.
And I was like, okay, I get it, because for me, and I'm gonna give you my honest opinion, I think they want to stay out of this whole volatility thing, and stemming from the tariffs and all the hype and panic in the market and the stock market doing the big correction, which yesterday was up over 1,100 points. I think that was a short-term dip, to that level, and now it's starting to rebound on the Dow. But I think they made a political decision, which is really ironic because, Powell, the Federal Reserve, basically they've touted, we're not a political entity, right? We make money strictly on monetary policy, and what our mandate is to control inflation and hedge unemployment. So I think they made a political decision. What do you think? I think they're like, okay, we're gonna step back here, and we're gonna let the Trump administration crash or burn, and we don't want to help in any way. We don't want to be involved with this. Let's just see what happens, and if he crashes it, he crashes it. Then we'll come in on our white horse and our sword and armor and shield, and we'll save the day, right? That's my feeling, and I'm just giving you my personal opinion. That may not be reality, but it's my feeling. I think they could have done something. They decided not to. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Shame on them for just sitting there rather than easing the consumers' minds and helping with interest rates and recognizing the fact that the housing industry controls a major segment of the economy, and it's subsiding because of what's going on. They chose to do nothing, and shame on them. They are political, whether they say it or not. Next is mortgage rates stabilized about 6.7. So rates started pushing back up. It was interesting because I talked recently about the fact that when stock markets correct at the rate that this one corrected, it dipped all the way on the Dow down to what, 36, 37,000. I mean, it was a pretty significant short-term correction. What generally happens to the 10-year Treasury bond? People start moving their money to it because it's a safer instrument, right? And what happens when they at that point, the yields go up, rates come down. So at the end of the day, it's a situation where we expected, with the stock market adjusting, that people would move money into bonds and we'd see mortgage interest rates. So I got kind of excited short term, and in anticipation that they did briefly come down, right? They did. Rates came down, but then they shot right back up because people really weren't moving their money into bonds. So they were just pulling money completely out of the equities market altogether. And so we have not had any relief on the 10-year Treasury bond. In fact, the yields even today are sitting about 4.4%, which is much higher than earlier this year. And it's not helping interest rates. So the two things that affect mortgage rates directly are the Fed funds rate, but even you could argue more significantly the 10-year Treasury bond. And neither one of them are helping us right now. So now we're sitting at between 6.7 and 6.9 right now, depending on what you look at, right in that area. But it has kind of stabilized. And a year ago, this time we were at 7%. So we're still lower than we were a year ago, right? So that's the good news. And we're still lower than the 50+ year average of tracking mortgage interest rates, which averages out about 7%. So are rates unfair or not? They're not unfair. They are what they are, right? But they're not, people aren't getting ripped off at 6.7. But unfortunately, it affects affordability no matter where you're at, particularly here in California. So the higher the rate, the less affordable homes are, the less the housing affordability index for that area goes down. And so we don't want to be eroding affordability, because values are still actually going up, which I'm going to mention here in a second. But they are going up whether you think they are or not. All right, so here's an interesting thing. Housing inventory reaches a 6-year high. So it's up 31% year over year nationwide. More homes on the market, right? We've all been praying for more inventory. I mean, we've got all these buyers, we just can't find them anything, and now we're getting it, but the demand's not quite the same as it was, right? By virtue of that, inventory is going up, and we're seeing a little more time on the market. Not dramatically, but we're seeing a little more time on the market, but So I don't think inventory going up is a bad thing, because here's what I believe that's going to happen this year. And I believe that rates will come back down. I mean, we may not break in back into the fives, but they'll be 6.5, maybe 6.25. I think we will see some relief at the end of the year. And, there's a lot of pent up demand. There's people on the fence, waiting, to get into the neighborhoods or the price points they want to try to buy. And I think we'll have inventory to sell them at that point, which is good. And we'll have a very robust, remainder of the year. So inventory is not a bad thing. We don't want to see it keep going up and then get back into a buyer's market, because that's recessionary activity, honestly. And I don't see us heading that direction at all. So home prices, speaking of, growth in home prices, it's actually decelerated, or since earlier this year. So we're sitting about this past month, right about 2.5%, and I think I predicted, we'd still see growth of about 8% this year. We may not now. I don't know. I mean, but one thing that's not happening, which is good news, is values are going down. So for those out there that are preaching a false narrative and the market's going to crash, values are going down, all this inventory is building up, that's not happening. They're still growing month over month this year, just not at the rate they were before. And that's okay because of that affordability question, right? We don't want them to keep skyrocketing, but we certainly don't want them to go backwards either. We don't want values to go backwards, because that would indicate a problem of some sort, going into a hard recession, some kind of financial crisis, whatever. But they are still going up. So there's still no reason to wait as a buyer. I want 6% or 6.25. I'm going to wait and then have values go up 5% during that waiting period. They're going to come out way behind on their payment still. All right. Insurance is a top concern. I mean, that's no epiphany, right? I mean, that's not shocking anybody that insurance is one of the #1 concerns in the state of California, with all of our natural disaster crap that goes on, and most recently the most significant natural disaster cost-wise that we may have ever seen, which is the LA fires, right? So we've got primary underwriters or carriers pulling out of the California market. It's been happening for a couple years, continuing to happen. And the ones that are still in California are becoming very selective on their underwriting and then in high impact, fire impact areas and hazard areas, they're not wanting to write. And so there is a legitimate concern about, getting properties insured as we sell them for our clients. And number two, there's a legitimate concern in general that the premiums are going to continue to go up for all Californians, because, it's not a matter of the insurance company just stopping writing those high hazard area policies, but they need to spread this cost increase over the consumer, right? That's what they're going to do. And some of you have already seen on your renewals, on your homeowner policy, it's starting to go up, right? So how does that impact when we're pre-qualifying or approving people, and it's going to drive, Susie nuts here, when you're looking at PITI and that I is going up because it takes the whole payment up, right? And that erodes affordability as well. That's another huge factor in California this year. So, what is the solution? Well, there is no immediate solution. I mean, we can talk about, the FAIR plan, which only has so much money here in California. We can bring in some other underwriters, whatever. The challenge though is, that's the solution's not like improving the insurance scenario and forcing carriers to insure people at affordable rates in California, because it's a free market. I mean, these aren't government, entities. But really, to me, the solution is, let's get this crap fixed in California on why these fires are happening, and let's get the government on top of that, which they haven't been. Let's be honest, guys. It's not a partisan issue. I think people on both sides know that we crap the bed on going in and clearing out these areas, whether it's forest or hills. We just don't have a program for minimizing these hazards, and it hasn't been a focus of Sacramento. Would you agree? I mean, it really hasn't been. And that's where it needs to get fixed. And the moment that really starts getting fixed, guess what? Underwriters are going to feel more comfortable about writing policies at affordable premiums. But until then, why? Why would I write something in the foothills, and you know, if I'm going to, I'm gonna charge a heck of a lot of money to do it, right? So let's fix the root cause. All right, so yes.
Will that rent control bill be?
Well, I was just gonna talk about that, but yeah, what's the question?
Will that help us now with that? With how much we could raise the rent to cover the insurance that they just added on to our.
This is a bad bill, so let me talk about it. It's a bad bill, yeah, so the assembly wrote and submitted, and it actually got through assembly, the initial vote committee, AB 1157, which is really just a recycling of Prop 33. How many of you voted no on Prop 33? I mean, everyone in the room should raise their hand unless you just didn't vote. All right, so here we go again. Like, they lost with Prop 33. So they go and write this bill, and it gets submitted this year for consideration, this legislative year. And here's what it does. So right now on multifamily, as a landlord, you're allowed to increase your rents annually every 12 months. If they're not in a lease, 5% plus that area's CPI, consumer price index, or inflationary percentage. So in this area right now, we're right at about 8.2% that you can increase your rent on somebody that's not in a lease, okay? And that's only on multifamily, it doesn't apply, that's duplex and above, okay? So what this bill proposed is that we take the 5% base and lower it to 2.5% increase, from 5 down to 2.5, and instead of the max being 10% now, the max would become 5%. So the most a landlord could raise the rent is only 5% annually, plus, and there's more, as they say, and there's more, it will now apply to all single family as well. So this is a complete erasure of the Costa-Hawkins Act, which we're celebrating the 30th year on that, I think. We just celebrated it in Ledge Week a couple weeks ago. So, and it just really, it's Prop 33, just in an assembly bill, right? So even though it got through assembly, there was such adverse reaction from a lot of major trade and organizations here in California, including the California Association of Realtors, California Apartment Association, many other groups out there. There was so much heat that rolled into legislative week last week, right before we hit Ledge Day, which was week before, was it last week or the week before? I'm losing track, week before, right? So there's so much adversity. Guess what happened the day before Ledge Day? They pulled the bill. So, and they didn't just eliminate the bill. It's going to become a 2-year bill. So they pulled it off the table for consideration this year, just to calm nerves and to rethink what they're doing. But it will rear its ugly head again next year. And they may amend it. They may try to make it more kind of neutral. I don't know, but it was a win for us because I think California Association of Realtors put the most pressure on them. So some of you are asking, because they call it the Fair Rent Act or Affordable Rent Act or something, whatever. You know, well, isn't that great news? Because people need affordable places to live. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. People need affordable places to live, but how about people need places to live? Because essentially what happens is that who owns most of the rental housing in California? It's the small housing provider. It's the mom and pop. It's the people, you know, like myself, that aren't major institutional, that provides housing, quality housing at a fair price. But what happens is when you start limiting their ability to increase and when to increase, they just pull out as being housing providers, and that housing goes away. It turns into, you know, housing for sale, gets pulled off the rental market. We stop building multifamily at that point, because if I can't keep up with inflation on my increases, I'm out. And now our already, you know, dire housing inventory situation here in California just gets worse and worse and worse. It's simple cause and effect. It's simple economics. But these people and these authors of 1157, I don't know that they know what, you know, economics is. They probably never heard of it. They just think, oh, I just want to make housing more affordable for people. It has an adverse effect. impact. So one last thing I'll leave you with on that is just case in point, when they instituted the Rent Control Act that we have, which is a 5% plus CPI, rents have not stabilized, they've only gone up. Because guess why? Before, including myself, landlords wouldn't raise their rent every year. They would think about it, okay, they're a good tenant, they pay, I don't want to have to turn over the unit, I don't want to scare them off. So a lot of them would raise rents every other year, some would raise rents every 2 to 3 years. But the moment the government says, you can only do this each year, and I'm going to cap it, guess what happens? Almost every landlord out there just automatically, whether they manage it or have it property managed, they raise rents every year now, including myself, because I don't want to get behind. So all of a sudden, rent rates shot up. That's why they're so high today. When you look at what you pay on the equivalent here, if you own a place, it's dramatically more. Well, you can thank the Rent Control Act because of that. It backfired on them, and they just don't understand that. So anyway, any questions on any of that?
Good info, thank you.
All right, that's it. We'll turn it over to Mike.
All right, thank you, Mike. I'm about to turn it over to somebody else. You haven't seen this yet? Probably not, but we're gonna do one here in Visalia too. This is one, so I didn't tell Mike I was putting it on here. He's doing how to create a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio training just for the Bakersfield area real soon. And I think we just reserved one for Visalia, didn't we?
Yeah, so the Visalia one will be Friday, May 30th at the Wyndham Hotel. From the same time, it'd be, I think we're gonna do the one at Wyndham from 11 to 1, 11 to 12:30 technically will be the program.
Nice.
Yeah.
So put that in your calendars, everybody. Unless you guys are busy on May 30th, which is Friday, then you guys can join us in Bakersfield. And if you guys are busy both those dates, maybe we'll do one in Fresno for you guys, so you guys can go to.
What, Mike, what did you say?
So Friday, May 30th at the Wyndham Hotel at 11 a.m. And we'll have that flyer out here hopefully today.
Yeah.
So we'll email it out. Yeah.
Is that the same thing you're doing in Fresno?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're doing 3 of them.
No, the
Yeah.
one in Fresno.
Oh, the one tonight, I'm
is
sorry.
different.
Yeah.
The one in Fresno is completely different. He's
Yeah.
doing a book reading at Fresno State.
Okay.
This is not about so much about the book. This is-
Okay.
Yeah, this is just strictly, investment, 101, but yeah, I've developed a training program around, real estate investing. So that this is sort of the introductory to that.
Okay. Yeah, do both if you guys can. All right, here we go. Lots and lots of Springtime Association sponsored events. Please consider attending. I mean, literally, I started looking at the darn thing, I'm like, I don't want to have 17 slides of everything that they're doing. So I just pulled this one up. And so this one that you guys have here, it's on the 22nd, which is next week. It's $20 per person. From what I understand, I didn't go to it last year. I
He's
understand
brilliant.
he's a great speaker.
It's good.
He gives Mike a run for his money from what I hear, so.
He's funny.
Is he funny?
He's more of a comedian.
Oh,
He's
really?
the aha guy.
He's a comedian. Well, heck, I want to go see him.
But he is good. I went last year. He's awesome.
He might be inspiring, man. I just seen a comedian last Thursday in Porterville. Joe Coy, anybody hear about him? Yeah, he actually brought a R&B artist right on stage at the end. He brought John B from the 90s back up. We had a concert, man. It was a whole different thing. That's the kind of comedian I want to be. All right, fireside chat, everybody. Please put this in your calendar. It'll be Tuesday, June 10th. It'll be 9 a.m. It'll be instead of this sales meeting, it'll be on Zoom. And it'll be the Three Musketeers, otherwise known as Mike, and Adam. And we're gonna give you guys some great information, so please join us there. And we're doing those quarterly, so we're doing that about once every 3 months for you guys. But there's so much going on within the industry, and there's so much noise out there, as Mike was talking about this morning, is what noise can you filter through, what is real, what is not. And with that, this is what you learned in real estate school. Tom, this was for you. This is for you and Gabe. That's what you learned in real estate school, and this is what you're gonna learn now that you're in the business. So both of you guys, just make some time, because you guys got a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And today's not here, but we got Diego. Diego, come on up. Fill in there.
All right, so-
Great.
You got really tall.
Yeah, so Todd unfortunately couldn't make it, so as you guys know, Diego knows the Chicago title, the other sales rep, here for you guys' office. And just want to thank you guys for having us here. I do want to talk to you guys about some stuff that we do have coming up for you guys. If you guys want to write this date down, it's May 21st, right?
Yeah.
May 21st, we will have a farming class for you guys, so.
That's next week. They're doing it together with me.
Here,
So yeah, we're doing a working around open houses and taking a listing, and then how to farm around that open house and listing.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do that, and then I know there is some new faces in here that I haven't seen, so if you guys want to set up individual training with all our apps and stuff, I know I met with Gabe already, so please reach out to myself or Tana.
You need Tom. We need
yeah.
It's gonna be here though.
Yes.
For
it'll
the
be on
farming, yes, yeah, and then if you guys want individual trainings, we can
What time?
here, our office,
11 next Wednesday.
so yeah, next Wednesday, so, but yeah, again, thank you guys for having us and,
Yo, thank you for coming in all from Porterville, man. Good
Yeah,
feeling this morning. I appreciate it.
I got the call this morning, hey.
You're like, I'm not feeling.
All
well,
right.
come in.
So no, thank you guys, appreciate it.
I didn't have time to change your picture. I would have, man, but I found out myself this morning.
That's all right. So,
All right, here we go. It's hard to read, but try to read it with me anyways. Fear does not stop death, it stops life, and worrying does not take away tomorrow's troubles. Man, this is where you guys are at. You guys are standing still. You guys need to learn some new listing presentations. You guys need to learn how to work with your buyers on getting them to pay you a commission, and we get stuck. We get stuck. I've talked to so many of you, and I need to talk to more of you, but I'm just talking generally in the company about doing some phone calls, whether it's cold calling, whether it's calling your friends, relatives, or some past customers. You know what the number one thing I get is, what am I gonna say? How does the conversation? And you know what I tell you, or most of you, 90% of the time they ain't gonna answer. So what are you worried about? Make 100 phone calls. You get 10 people that answer. When you finally do, you'll be so happy that they answer. You won't even know what to say. Like, oh, what? And that just happened yesterday. We had a lead about somebody in Bakersfield, and he's kind of a higher up in the company. And so they're like, why don't you call him right now? Send me the number. So I called him right in front of the managers, right? And we're all on Zoom. Like, what are you gonna say? Doesn't matter. He probably won't answer. Guess what happened?
Yeah.
He didn't answer. So then he called me back 15 minutes later and we set up an appointment for sometime, not this week or next week. But we get so in our head about fear, about what's gonna happen, that we really stop working. And we psych ourselves out. And the reality is they just want to deal with somebody they can like and trust. Are you human? Are you a snake oil salesman? Can I trust you? When I talk to you, do I feel like I'm being sold something? Do you feel slimy? Do you feel like one of them, people on the phone that is reading the script? I mean, what do you sound like? And the reality is just have a normal conversation with somebody. Just see if you guys like each other. See if you guys want to do business together. So we get stuck in fear, but we shouldn't. Because when you get stuck in fear, you stop living your life, right? And so how many of you are scared of heights? How many of you have found skydiving? I was born with a fear of heights. I hated ladders. I was a little kid where my parents were out picking oranges and shit. And I got to get up on the top of a ladder, and it felt like it was 50 feet tall because I was just a little kid. And so I was always scared of heights, right? I must have fallen off a couple of times. I don't know. So I did stuff on purpose to overcome my fear. I went bungee jumping. I went skydiving. No, sorry, I haven't done skydiving. But I did all kinds of bungee jumping. I did all kinds of roller coasters where they just drop you. And I got over most of those fears. I haven't done skydiving yet. It's still on the list. But I push myself through things that make me uncomfortable. What makes you uncomfortable? And what are you doing to overcome it? Are you where you want to be in your real estate career? Are you making all the phone calls? Do you have enough appointments signed up for buyers and sellers or investors? What can you do to get out of your comfort zone? Because if you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're not really living. You see, real life is on the other side of fear. When you do something that you're scared to do anything, anyways, when you have the courage to do it, not because you're not scared, being fearful of something is normal, but it's doing it anyway that gives you that little bit of energy. You know, the difference between somebody that says what do you call it? Extreme sports, base jumping, all those kind of things. If you were to interview most of your athletes that are playing the Olympics, you know what they describe at the beginning, getting ready for their event? Butterflies in their stomach, sweaty palms. It's adrenaline. They get excited about it. You know what the guy in the stands that never did anything, that's scared, but he loves watching the sports? You know why he doesn't do them? Because when he thinks about it, he gets sweaty palms and butterflies in the stomach. The exact same feeling, but in their brain, they described it and internalized it two different ways. So do you want to be stuck and paralyzed by fear with butterflies in your stomach, sweaty palms, and a low bank account? Or you have butterflies in your stomach, sweaty palms, and a nice big bank account? Choice is yours. Either way, you're going to have the same emotion. But what is stopping you? So let's push through the fear. Let's make the phone calls anyway. All they're going to say is no. Make another call. Big deal. Get with Diego. Do some more farming. Find another customer. You see, the way I look at life is everybody that's an adult is either a customer, because they're either a tenant or a homeowner. That's it. So if they're not a homeowner, they're a potential client. And that's every adult in the US. So how do you look at it? You start worrying about like Susie does. What's a credit score? Do they have PTI? Do they have enough debt to income ratio? I don't give a shit about that. Do you want to buy? Yeah. Can you afford it? Let's give it a shot. Let's try. Just get on the other side of your phone. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. All right, read this one with me. Ready? You'll never change your life until you change something in your daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. That's it, guys. Just a little bit more effort, a couple more phone calls a day. Get one more appointment this week, get one or two if you can, and that's it. Don't gotta figure it out. You don't have to know everything about the business. You have to know the contract, and that's about it. The rest of it will teach you along the way. Oh, sorry, I'll put that back.
Thank
We need the music. All right, we don't just check the box, guys. We're Century 21. We go 121%. We go above and beyond. Right? We are the most trusted brand in real estate. When you guys see the Century 21 logo, what do you guys think of? You guys are in real estate. You guys just think of home. This is what you do for a living. This is the company you work for. Ask the public. Kimberly, you don't sell real estate. You sell insurance. When you see Century 21, what do you think of? Diego, you go to all the real estate offices. When you see our brand, what do you think?
It's different.
Right? But it's synonymous with real estate. You don't think we sell insurance. But we're not a paint company. We're not an attorney's company. I mean, I used to go work at some place that had a red logo. People used to come in looking for old man Keller Williams. Or they wanted to come in and get some paint, you know, because they thought it was Sherwin Williams. It was confusing. But you can't confuse Century 21 with anything else other than real estate unless you're with 21st Century Car Insurance. Then maybe I can understand the confusion. But generally speaking, it's a brand that speaks for itself. All right. You never realize how long a minute is until you're exercising. Isn't that the truth? Go take a walk uphill. It is like, man, I am out of shape. I like taking walks, just not on a vertical kind of base, it's more level. So, all right, Tulare County market update. Mike already touched on it, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But I wanted to show you kind of where we're at. And this is what Mike was talking about. Last year, we had 2 months worth of inventory. Right now, we're at 2.43. What that means is basically we have almost 2.5 months of inventory. So if no other houses were to get listed starting today, we would run out of inventory to sell in Tulare County in just under 2.5 months. A seller's market goes up to about 5 or 6 months. Once you go about 5 or 6 months of inventory, it becomes a buyer's market. So we're still a long ways away from a buyer's market, but we have more inventory than we've had since like COVID. And so it's nice to have the inventory, and it's nice to have selection, because that means that when you're making an offer with a buyer, hopefully you're not going to run into like 15 offers in that house, maybe just a handful, right? And so it's a great time to be in real estate, but that's the reality of it. All right, let's go here. Average list price last year was 540. Average list price this year, 527. Does that mean the market's gone down? No, we just have more inventories and more inventory at the lower end. So median list price 429 to 467 tells you the median price is actually higher. Average sold price 439 last year, 510 this year. One thing that's happening, I mean, nationwide, but particularly in California, is that prices just keep going up. It's amazing. We have less total transaction, but the demand for the nice houses is there. It keeps pushing the prices up. It's kind of crazy. And then the median sold price was 395 up to 415. It's a $20,000 increase in 1 year. That's significant. 10% would be 40, so that's about a 5% increase year over year. So it's still a very good time to be in real estate. We wish the rates were lower, but that's the reality of it. That's where we're at. Average days on the market has gone from 34 days on the market to 42 days on the market. So there's been an increase there, not a lot. But who was doing this in about 2010? Who was in real estate? Mike, I'm sure you had a ton of listings. I'm sure that you guys did too. What was your average days on the market, right? Back then, 120, 130. I mean, if you sold a house in 6 months, you were happy, right? I mean, everybody was doing 1 year listing agreements, guys. It was just different. And it wasn't that long ago. I look at when I got in real estate, and it wasn't that long ago. And when I wanted to do a contract, I went to this big fancy box of a bunch of little boxes, and I pulled forms. And I hand wrote them out. And then zip forms came up. It wasn't called zip forms then. It was called win forms. Luckily, we had 2 computers. The secretary had one. They had 1 computer at the front where you could go and use zip forms. Instead of having to handwrite it, now you got to type your forms. Guys, that was 18 years ago. That was 17 years ago. That was not a long time ago. It wasn't your grandparents' real estate. It was my real estate. It was our real estate. For those of you that are new, that have the ability to go into zip forms, log in and do contracts, guys, you're blessed. But that came out in the last decade. And so real estate is always changing, and it's easier now than ever before to be in real estate. But it's harder in your head than ever because there's too much noise. One more thing I want to show you with the Tulare County market update is pending listings and sold listings. If you look at your prices, guys, I mean, there's 1, 2, 4, 8, there's 10 properties for sale under 300,000. That's it. By the way, this is all year long. Guys, there's 10 properties under 300,000. That inventory sells quickly, it just doesn't exist. If you look at your properties that are over 500,000, I wish this number went up to 600,000. Because there's a lot of inventory being sold between 500,000 and 600,000. I wish they separated it out, but they don't. But you got 24 properties total. Last year, 27 this year, 25 last year, 33 this year in that 499 range. Guys, that is where your money is at. It's between 300 to 500,000. I would tell you go all the way up to 600,000. That is where 80% of the business is being done right now in Tulare County. That is your sweet spot. If people want to go do a farm, you know what they all choose? The $800 neighborhoods, the $700,000 neighborhoods, the $1 million neighborhoods. Why? Why are you going after 5% of the business? Go after 80% of it. Do the common neighborhoods where people can afford in the valley. So when you're looking at a farm, which is what we're going to do next week, do it in this range, guys. Do it where the money is at. Think about it. Improve your chances. So I'm saying that just to plug that we're going to be here next Wednesday doing that class right in here. And the same thing with listings. You have a few more listings under 300,000, but in total, there's been 11 all year. 11, that's it. Last year, there was more. You know why there's less this year? Because prices have gone up. So some of the ones that are here are now over here. But again, look at that price. That's 80% of your business, 300,000 to 600,000. Focus there. Make that the focus of your money and time and energy. Okay, does that make sense? One thing I wanted to show you. Since last Tuesday, stuff that comes to my house in 1 week. If I'm getting them, I know you guys are getting them too. Now I know that those of you that have rental properties are getting more, you know, than somebody who wouldn't, but just list it. Let me buy your rental. 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 Let me manage your rental. I just listed a house. Let me buy your 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 house, here's another check. 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 Guys, I only have 8 rentals. I know, I only have 8 of them. Catch them all. Guys, I don't know if you counted, that was 17 of them in 1 week. When we look at people that flip, like Rito or Louis D, and we think, man, they got it made, they're making all the money in the world. But you know what they do?
Advertise.
They advertise, they call it their influences, all their people in their sphere of influence. They're networking, they're just not prospecting the way that Diana does. They're prospecting and making contacts. And they're sending out a shitload of mailers. So if you want some success, mailers work. I'm not gonna call any of those people, but I looked at one of the numbers and one of them was pretty decent. I'm like, shit, this guy's not that far off. But guys, it just gives them top of mind awareness. So please be here, learn how to do that, learn to be more effective with it. And so be here next Wednesday from 11 to about noon. And we'll do a nice class on how to do some good farming, how to take a listing, how to do the listing presentation in case somebody says yes. And we'll do all of that for you. Now with that, we have Kimberly. Kimberly, come on up. Everybody know Kim? We're gonna go off of this and she's gonna present. Now, for those of you that have seen Kim walking around, she actually is leasing a space from us here at the office and she sells a different kind of insurance, if you don't mind. The floor is yours.
So I know Rhonda because she's actually one of my clients. I do health insurance, I do Medicare, and I do cover California as well as some other types of health insurance. What I wanted to share with you guys today is 2 things. So you can be an asset to the people that you're helping that are buying or selling homes. As they're moving, that opens up what's called a special election period where they would qualify for health insurance, okay? So you could be a resource by sharing this type of information with them. But most of you are like me, self-employed. And so here's my personal situation. I've been a health insurance agent for 5 years. I started off working out of Bakersfield, and I worked for a captive company, which just means that I sold a handful of products that were under a certain company.
What's the website you want us to go to? So we can put it up there?
Could you go to covercalifornia.com? Now, when I started off doing health insurance, I was mostly doing Medicare at the time. I didn't have health insurance myself because it was too expensive, or I thought it was too expensive. Okay.
Does it look like that, the website?
Yes, perfect. Okay. And then a friend of mine, who is also an insurance agent, put a little bug in my ear and said, why aren't you doing Covered California? I'm like, well, what exactly is Covered California? And there's this wonderful tool on the Covered California website. So what I wanted to show you guys is what I found out for myself, okay? Is that I actually could afford health insurance. There we go. So let's say you're making $120,000 a year, okay? And you live here in Visalia and you have a household of 4 and everybody needs coverage.
How do you know Diego's salary?
Well, I'm anticipating you guys are doing really well. It's been a great year. Okay, maybe you have a 12-year-old. Maybe you have a 7-year-old, okay? I just don't show up. And you're around 45. So this is a quick quote, okay? Covered California is based on income and family size. So the number that you see over here in the corner, $810 is for a family of 4. This is not your, this is what you're being taxed on. I'm just thinking the numbers wrong, not your gross income. But I also know that you guys have lots of deductions, like I take deductions. So what I do every year with my tax professional, who's my father, who is a tax professional, is we play with the numbers to keep insurance affordable. So if I'm making gross $120,000, but I actually deduct $60,000 on my taxes, and I'm only reporting $60,000 of income, what just happened?
Wow.
That's covering a family of 4. Okay. That's affordable, right? Okay. So lesson learned, I now have health insurance. Okay. I'm personally on a high deductible plan and we pay 0. Okay. So it does go down to 0. There's a proposal that may come out for next year where you have to pay $5 minimum, but it's still up in the air. But there are $0 plans. This here is a silver plan. This is the most common plan on Covered California. They have a bronze plan, silver plan, gold, and platinum. The higher the metal tier, the better the coverage you have. But this is a standard plan, which is actually really great coverage. Some of the silver plans you actually aren't going to pay a deductible. You may pay $10 to see the doctor. Okay, that's pretty affordable for most people. Okay. So if you do not have coverage, we're not in open enrollment right now. So this is just something I want you to keep in mind unless you have a special election period, like maybe you just had a baby or you've moved yourself.
What if we have 2 new agents that want to look into it?
Yeah, babies.
Yeah. Yes, so because we're not in open enrollment, there, we'd have to see if there was another type of election period. So if you had coverage, like maybe through a spouse or you left another employer and you lost your coverage through them, that would also be a special election period. Otherwise, when we're looking at Covered California, we're looking to enroll November 1st through December 15th. That's what's the dates that are proposed. Generally, Covered California goes until January 15th, but we have new administration, okay, which is kind of throwing things up in the air. But proposed right now, it's going to end December 15th. Hopefully, it'll get extended to January. So if you are interested, you can do this yourself, but don't do it yourself. Because there's a lovely lady at a different Century 21 office who told me she was on Covered California. She's like, hey, I need to update my information because you have to update it every year. I said, would you like me to help you? We pulled up her account. Her income was 2 years old. Okay, which meant her income had gone down. So that meant she was overpaying for her Covered California. Okay. This number is the portion that you're paying. The state pays the difference of your premium. Okay, there's 2 companies in Tulare County. It's Blue Shield and Anthem that offer Covered California plans. The plans are exactly the same plans that you would get if you came to me and said, hey, I don't want to deal with Covered California. I just want to go directly to the carrier. It's the same plan. They're gonna offer you the same plan, same open enrollment periods, but you're gonna pay full price. So for this one, the financial help is $1,200. Okay, that's the part that the state of California is paying towards your insurance. So you could go directly to Blue Shield and say, hey, I want to pay $1,284. Or you could go through Covered California and pay $84. It's an amazing program. Okay. I had a situation. My daughter, this is actually how I found out that, hey, I should be doing something different. My daughter broke her arm. My husband calls me, says, hey, I think she broke her arm. What should I do? I said, well, don't take her to the emergency room because that's really expensive. We don't have insurance. So I said, take her to urgent care. Okay. And if you don't know that, that's true for any insurance that you have. It's always going to be less expensive to go to urgent care. Take her to urgent care. She had a really bad break. They couldn't help her. They said she needs to go to Children's, Valley Children's. We took her to Valley Children's. And of course, they asked me, do you have insurance? And I say, no, please don't hurt me too bad. Okay. They don't worry. We can do emergency coverage. Okay, so for those of you that have kids, when you apply for Covered California, there are two charts. It's like one chart built into that has two charts in one. There's two levels of coverage. One is for children under the age of 18, and one is for adults over the age of 18, even if you're the same family. So your children may qualify for Medi-Cal even if you don't. Okay, so my daughter qualified for Medi-Cal, even though our family income didn't qualify the whole family for Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal, 60% of Tulare County residents are on Medi-Cal, which means most doctors, there's very big networks of doctors that take Medi-Cal. It doesn't have the same reputation that it had in the past. I'm telling you that because it's full coverage. Okay, meaning you're not going to pay anything for your kids to get preventative care, their annual checkups, they get sick, whatever it is. Okay, so I'm so glad that Mike let me come and just share this information with you. I am not here every day, but if you would like my information, I have cards with me. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to help with questions. I also do Medicare as well, mostly for people who are over 65. But there is no fee to work with a broker, and I'm a broker. I represent all of the companies that work in the space, and I am happy to help you strategize and figure out what the right steps are for you in your particular situation. Because some of you may have spouses that have coverage, and you're like, should I be with my spouse's coverage? Should I try to do something on my own? You may not be married, but living with somebody, and there's separate rules for that. And I would help you navigate all of that. Any questions?
Yeah, on the Covered California household income, what's the limit on that?
So technically, there's no limit, but once you reach a certain threshold, they're gonna discount you $1. So everybody gets at least $1 discount. And then depending on your particular situation. So one of the protections that Covered California gives you is there's no underwriting. Okay, so that means that anybody that has any kind of health condition can be on Covered California.
So no pre-existing, nothing.
No pre-existing. Now, if you want to go outside of Covered California, we just go direct to the carrier, then we have to consider the pre-existing. So if your income is higher and we're like, hey, I don't know if I want to go through the hassle of Covered California, let me just do it over here on my own. You can do that, but we would just want to consider that your health situation to see, hey, maybe we still want to do Covered California so that you aren't rated different.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
If you guys ever see her in the little signing room making phone calls or anything, now you know who she is. I've been telling her like, hey, man, it's been months, like, get in here already. So Kim, thank you very much for being here. All right, and then we'll just go through the rest of them, Bob, I can just.
Oh, hold on, no, I haven't shared it.
Okay.
Second.
This is when we need that little music.
I'm gonna sing.
There you go. Let me go back. I do want to cover the admin. Hold on, go back a little bit.
Which way?
Wrong way. I'm doing it. I'm going sideways, everybody, right here. Forms and compliance training with Jessica Southern. I always say Southern like with an N, but there's no N at the end. She's in our Fresno office and she's been doing forms training up there for a while and her classes have gotten really big. So she does them on Thursdays and they're on Zoom and it's the same Zoom that you guys are all used to doing, or is it different? It's a different one.
We haven't
So
switched yet.
take a picture of that, everybody. We'll get your phone out, take a picture of that. We'll get that out into your emails. But she does a fantastic job of explaining the contracts in a slightly different way that maybe you've heard of before. There you go. Need an ID, and we'll put it in your email so you guys have it. Right. Administrative update with me, Kevin Lopez is now a transaction coordinator and mentor for anyone looking for some help. So he's staying on with the company. Bruce, his desk here, because Bruce moved out of state. He was in, as you go on, there's that big wall with all of our works. On the other side of this cubicle, that's where Kevin's to be located from now on. So he'll start moving.
Real
into that.
quick, Mike,
Go
you
ahead.
know, when you were talking about lead generation. and
Yeah,
stuff
lead
like
gen.
that, so this is what everybody's focused on, right?
Yes,
Portal leads.
yes.
So everybody, I get it, agents ask me all the time, how do I get leads? And they're always looking at, most of them potentially trying to pay for leads.
Mhm.
Well, I was doing research with another AI specialist and we were doing research and it said, this is what most people do here. This is how they go down the line. But in reality, the close rate is higher. Look at your close rate down at the bottom.
Your sphere of influence, I mean, yeah, people are buying the leads, but your sphere of
And your
influence down there is by far the best.
So
By the way,
your
that's-
sphere of influence, repeat business, professional referrals, open house. That is basically everything you would do when you talk to somebody.
Yeah, and this is
Face to
Zillow,
face.
guys.
Live person, they'll
Yeah.
get you the leads. So this is a stat I wanted you guys to see. Portal leads will give you 51% of the volume of leads you get, but close 2%.
So you're spinning your wheels and you're gonna feel burnt out.
But if you, like I've asked most of you, if you call everybody in this phone and everybody that you know, you'll actually get 20% more lead volume. 20 times more than you will buying leads.
Well, and not only that, is your SOI past client database in a CRM that has automated
Updated.
marketing features like drips and things going out? Because the reality is the agents that are paying for zip codes, whether it's Zillow or Realtor.com, you see the conversion rate, we're spending significant dollars, but I would venture to argue 80% of people that pay for zip code leads are doing almost no marketing to their SOI, which is embarrassing. Whereas you just demonstrated the ROI is much higher on your SOI and we can automate it for free with Moxie here. No brainer.
Yeah, I did a Moxie comparison, guys, because Moxie, if you guys were not with the company and you guys left and you guys want to use Moxie, it's $189 a month. So if you guys wanted to go buy the Moxie platform that is free because you guys are with the company, their Century 21 platform, it's literally $189 a month. And they don't give you everything that you get here for $189. It's their mid-level package. Their entry-level package is $89, and all you get is just a dashboard that stores your phone numbers. But for the one closest to what you guys get for free, it's $189. But you guys have a couple of extra things that they don't sell everybody else that are exclusive to Century 21 or anybody in the Anywhere brands. So yeah, AI is a kind of digital marketing assistant who works 24/7, never takes a break, and delivers fast. It can write your listings, emails, and social posts in minutes. Learn it now or keep spending hours doing what a robot can handle for you. Seriously, how much time work? Guys, it's everywhere. We're behind the 8 ball. We're in real estate for about a decade now. Everybody out of the Silicon Valley has been trying to replace you with a technology, with some app of some kind, and they're just not able to. So then since they couldn't replace you, then they started setting up big brokerages, and they started doing all of that to see if they can just, get you to join them if they can't replace you. And the reality is everything that we're looking at, what we feel is going to happen, and where all the evidence is pointing, is that the agents that'll be left, that'll be doing a significant amount of income, a significant amount of transactions are the ones that are gonna be using AI. Because they're gonna have the bandwidth to do more with less time. The only other way you can do that is to hire a full-time assistant and then teach them to do it for you.
One thing I want to share, I've shared it a couple times this week. So I'm doing the book presentation tonight at Fresno State. So I wanted an outline for the program. So last week, I have a PDF copy of my 200-page book. I uploaded it into chat and asked it to create a proposed outline of that presentation with some other prompts. So I hit enter and it goes, "Brrr," and it was done. It had read my book and created the outline in under 5 seconds. And I'm going, holy cow. If I had paid somebody to do that, or I had to go do it, I would have spent an hour or two, and somebody else would have spent hours because they would have to read the book for starters. So, yeah, crazy.
It is amazing. Don't think outside the box. Think like there is no box. Oof, I like that. What's
You
a
like
box?
that, huh?
I do. Thank you, Bob.
That's how I usually think, but to that point is I sent an email, I think Friday, with a link to a Chat GPT prompt that I created. And I think only one person responded, and that AI that I wrote, if you give it your information, it'll create all your marketing stuff for you. And none of you have even bothered to try, so I'm flabbergasted.
It's okay. Everybody's
You guys
learning
all
at
wanna
different
work
speeds.
hard, not smart.
Start using technology to your benefit. I'm telling you, it makes me sound smart. I mean, I usually got a legal thing that I gotta write. I go to Mike.
His emails have gotten much better, by the way.
Yeah, well, now I don't bother Mike with it. It's like, here's what I want to say. Actually, what I did with my Chat GPT about a month ago, Bob sent out an email and he said, no one's gonna do it. So I took on the challenge and he said, it's basically a bio about yourself. And I fill out the complete bio and I upload it to my Chat GPT. So it knows me inside and out. All right, May birthdays, you guys ready? Yolanda Abel, Mike Allen, Ruben Martinez, Bob Patel in the 8th, Jana Steele, Mike's sister, Araceli Hernandez, Adam Brown, Larry Williams, Adam Baker, Luis Mota, David Hughes, Bill Hill, Corinda Relis, and Maricela Rene Perez. This is just the Visalia office. If we had Hanford on here, you would see Larry Harper's birthday there too. And so I'm the only oddball in the management team that's not in May, but let's sing them all happy birthday. You guys ready? No, I'm a Libra. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Uncle Torres. Happy birthday to
I have that, I'll put some cake out right now.
Bob went and bought cake. It'll be out here in a minute right after the sales meeting, maybe while we're going on tour. Coming soons or haves and wants. I know we have a special guest here from Hanford. You got a property on tour? No, just showing up to, thank you for showing up.
Just hanging out.
Nice, thank you for hanging out.
$100.
Nice. Bob's gonna do the $100 right.
Want money?
Yeah, partnered with who though?
Yeah, no.
No. Summit Home Builders. Yeah. SME, they own their own brokerage, so they do their own stuff. Summit Home Builders. Jen, tell us all about it.
It was amazing. There was a great turnout.
Stand up, we can barely see you.
Very serious.
Can you see me now? Get on the table.
Mike talked to you.
Tap that.
It was a great turnout. Thank you for all who came out Tuesday, and then our grand opening was really nice. For one thing, but it turned out really nice. Tacos were good. A lot of people came in. Just looking at the directionals, a lot of people got like posts. So if you shared our post, thank you for doing that. The houses are gorgeous. If you haven't gone,
Yeah, they're
you'll
beautiful.
have to go see them. They are different. They're semi-custom homes. We had a big turnout on Sunday, which was surprising to me. I think Sunday was better just because it was a little bit cooler than Saturday. It was very hot on Saturday. But a big turnout. We already have probably a couple people that are talking to us.
Yeah.
What's the preferred? It's core.
We need readers or homeowners. Yeah.
What are the model hours? We're open every day and we're closed on Wednesdays, so 11 to 5.
Very good.
So there's a flyer that went out with a QR code, if you click the QR code, it'll take you to the website that has all the floor plans and elevations.
Yeah, you can also go to just to the website and it'll find it that way. Guys, I don't know how many of you went through the floor plans, but I went to the one that had that giant slider that opens up and it makes the patio feel like, or it opens up like, makes the outside feel like the inside.
Is that base model?
No, that's an option. But you know what I did is I called the builders off and I said, hey, man, I got this big sliding glass window in my mother-in-law's house that we're renovating. And there's a pool in the backyard and this really cool patio. Can you come give me a price? So they did. They were there yesterday and they measured it out. And for the window, because we have this, it's, you know how a slider typically has 2 panels, this thing has 3 panels.
Yeah.
This thing is like really, it's like as wide as this room almost, is how big that window is. And it's 10.7 for the unit plus installation and stucco patching, it's about 13 grand. But I'm thinking, that's not bad, but this is a rental property, so I'm like, it would have been cool, but I'm like, I don't want to spend that, take me a year to get my money back. 6 months. But anyways, all right, ready? Go ahead, Bob, do the magic. It has noise, but you guys can hear from that far. Oh man, if it's green, it's me. Just joking, I don't know my color. So glad he didn't show up. Somebody take a picture and send it to Ruben.
I would let him know.
No, take a picture of it.
Must be.
All right, we have one, yeah, must be in the
cells.
not even in the lobby, like in here. Matt, you got a property on tour, tell us all about it.
Yeah, 925 South Kingdom, it's in Victorian Gardens. 2 new, it's a whole new HVAC system, owns solar. The solar system does have a loan on that needs to be assumed unless they negotiate something in the sale. New flooring throughout, carpet and vinyl plank, granite, a whole bit. It's a nice place. 415. When you pull in to right where the sign for Victorian Gardens is, you'll dead in straight into the unit. Use the driveway in the building.
We're going there right now, right? Like in 10 minutes. All right. Anybody else have any coming soon or haves and wants? Larry, what do you got?
I got they cut the listing and be on the market Thursday. Get the pictures today. 1595 Mateus Court, Tulare, 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2967 square feet, 11,577 square foot lot. Has pool, built-in spa, has the half bath actually is on the outside of the home for the pool. It's a changing room and bathroom with a storage built right next to it. RV parking, has a gazebo sitting area and granite countertops, has a wine refrigerator. Huge backyard, and it's walking distance to the park and Del
Wow.
for 664.9.
That sounds like a really good listing.
Del Lago.
That actually began as a realtor.com lead.
All right,
I
man.
sold it to him 2 years ago.
And now you're gonna sell it again. I hope the next people buy it through you and then we list it down the road with you.
This is a sphere of influence now.
Yeah,
There
it
you
is.
go.
Anybody else coming soon or has and wants? Anybody? Yes.
Well, it just hit market yesterday. It's in this town called O'Neill's. I
Yeah.
don't know if anyone's heard of it. It's like on the way to Forest Cove, but just before, like 30 minutes outside of Fresno. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath horse property. And it has all the stalls and everything. It's just kind of an abandoned, but inside it's been completely remodeled. Beautiful country property, 539,
539. How many acres?
3.74.
3.74 acres. Nice. Does it have any horses being sold with it? No.
No, not yet.
How are your customers? Pretty easy to deal with your sellers?
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
I met some people up there. They look like the south end of a northbound horse. So you gotta be careful with them. All right. Sorry. All right, guys, we're going on tour in about 5 minutes. Yeah, think about that one. Vito? Yeah, I gotta, yeah. Here's the report. The study.